Welcome back to my 11th episode of my Zoom series titled After the Play Ends, Hanging the Cleats Up. And this is the Zoom series where I, Anya Olson, get to talk to retired collegiate athletes and pick their brain about their experience and understand the struggles they face since retiring. This week, I am joined with Cameron Verona, who graduated from Piedmont College, or Piedmont University now, as a goalkeeper. And so Cam, I will give you the floor and let you explain your background and a little bit of what got you into playing soccer.
Yeah, my background, 24 now. I guess officially I've been playing for 20 years. It started when I was 4. It got to be one of those deals where when I was very young, my father told me you can either start taking this seriously or you're going to find something else to do, to the point where he threw my bag in a trash can. And then my mother actually was the one who got the bag out of the trash can and decided he's being a little hard on you. We're gonna keep playing. And here I am today. So I actually transferred into Piedmont from Reinhardt University my freshman year. Great university, great program. I learned a lot. I became a much better player there and a person as well, I hope. And I transferred to Piedmont for soccer reasons. I really wasn't going to get to play in the way that I wanted to at Reinhardt. So transferring to Piedmont really gave me that opportunity. Um, Looking back on it, there might have been some things I did differently. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. But other than that, I really do feel like it was a good decision for me to end up where I was at. But just in terms of how I got into goalkeeping specifically, to be honest, I have no idea. The story was in my family that my dad and I were going to go get like match gloves, like Under Armour gloves, something to keep your hands warm because it was cold. And somehow I ended up with those really cheap black and yellow Nike goalkeeper gloves, and somehow we didn't know that they were goalkeeper gloves. And then here I am today, playing in goal, beating myself up, hitting the ground, and I couldn't tell you why, but I love it.
That is so funny. I remember on my other Zoom series episode, I talked to Miranda McNally, who is the goalkeeper for the women's team, and she was like, honestly, I think I was just thrown into goal too. And I think a lot of goalies are just like, all right, go. I mean, I had to play goalie a couple times, not good at it. It's why I'm not a goalie. But I think that's so funny how that happens. And what position were you before? Or do you not really, did you not really
I
have?
always say that I'm a forward. I was a good old number 9, traditional goal scorer. Could I put the ball in the net? Absolutely not, but that's probably why they put me in goal.
Awesome. Well, transitioning more like you said about Piedmont, how was your experience at Piedmont playing and how did you end up deciding to want to pursue professionally?
Well, I've always known I wanted to pursue a career in professional soccer.
Mhm.
Goalkeeping just became the forefront of that when I was younger and decided that I was better at that than anything on to do with being on the ball. Flash forward to now where I play in a team that has a Man City style system and you need to use the goalkeeper a lot.
Yes.
Um, but we'll get onto that later. With Piedmont, I was looking for the best avenue to get into a university where I could play.
Mhm.
And Piedmont sort of recruited me out of high school. It was one of the universities that ended up giving me interest, but I was so far along at that point with my other commitments with the 3 big schools I was looking at, which was Clayton State, Reinhardt, and Thomas University, all
Mhm.
a bit smaller, but I had pretty heavy interest from all 3. Clayton State coach was my club coach. Reinhardt was a late entrance to the party, but my friend Aaron Witten and I went up there for a couple ID camps, and they kept bringing us in. And then with Thomas, I had been involved with that program for at least 2 years, just going down there and checking stuff out, and ultimately decided not to go there because as I am now, I absolutely would have went, but as a 18-year-old scared to be away from home, I didn't want to live 4 hours away.
Yeah.
So I decided not to. But in terms of that, I was trying to figure out the best way to play. And I knew that if I wanted to play professional soccer, or at least at the time, I thought this, I needed to check a box, and that box was be a starter in college.
Mm.
So I tried going to a university that would allow me to do so. And I didn't just look at Piedmont, I also looked at LaGrange. I also looked at Shorter briefly, but that didn't pan out because in my transfer window when I was looking to be recruited. I was supposed to get a game against them at Reinhardt, but I actually ended up breaking my foot, so I couldn't. But God's plan and all that. So I ended up at Piedmont, and in terms of playing, I really enjoyed it. And there was obviously with any program, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have things you don't like, things you love. But I think ultimately the decision to come play at Piedmont was probably a good one for me, and I really enjoyed it from that aspect.
Yeah.
And I think from that perspective, I was hoping it would kind of kickstart me off into the realm of professional soccer.
Mhm. Interesting. I know that I chose Piedmont, and a lot of people we've played together know that they chose Piedmont because we wanted to play. And that's initially why I was like, okay, well, I could go to a higher division, but I just want to play. Although I didn't want to play professionally, that was what was on my mind. So, do you think that going to a Division 3 school has hindered you in any way to play professionally? Or do you think that the chances were the exact same no matter what?
It's a tough question, and it's one that I wish I could give you an answer with more clarity, but I'll follow that up with something that somebody else told me recently. In order to get money and work and all that, at the moment, I've decided to take a career shift in a way when I get down the road and actually start using my degree while also pursuing professional soccer in a more serious sense of my degree. But with my current work, I'm a coach now. I coach goalkeepers at Marist High School and do some club work as well. But I really more enjoy the high school stuff, and it doesn't help or hurt, excuse me, that Marist is a good program. So I'm working closely with the men and women's head coaches, and the men's head coach is the son of the Oglethorpe head coach, and he talks all the time because he played professionally in Germany, and he talks all the time about Division 3 is just a place where Division 1 caliber athletes go to pursue a degree that they can't get at Division 1 school and also continue playing at a
Mhm.
decently high level. And I would say there are truths and similarities to that because I saw many, many talented athletes come through Piedmont, not just in soccer, but that blew my mind. Like, what are you doing here? Like, you could be at a big SEC school or something, basically,
Mhm.
right? But I think that that synopsis is pretty accurate, that a lot of athletes and people who have such talent really want to use that, but also have this niche degree like communications, right? For example, that a lot of schools offer, but it's kind of on the back burner to where at Piedmont, I know for our communications program, it's the best that you can get out there,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And I think that that right there is a lot of reasons why Division 3 is looked upon so fondly by Division 3 athletes. But I think that there still needs to be some work done in terms of the exposure hierarchy thing with the NCAA. And I think people could look at Division 3 in a little bit different light, the same way that we would look at a Division 3 team, for example. Take the top 20 Division 3 programs, and I think that they could compete pretty heavily with some really good bigger schools out there. NAI is the same way because they have less restrictions. You can get a lot of foreigners out there as well, which is neither here nor there, but the quality is very good. And I
Mhm.
think that in terms of being Division 3, the only thing that's hurting Division 3 as a division is the fact that they don't offer athletic scholarship money. And that's not a university by university basis. That's a league division NCAA restriction. And I think that that is something that needs to be workshopped before the playing field, so to speak, can further itself down the path of progression. But I think it's in a good place, especially now compared to what it used to be. And like I said, I mean, he said that, and I used to play with somebody down in Peachtree City who was playing here for the summer, who was at a Division 3 in New York. Same thing. He told me the exact same thing. Division 1 athletes go to play Division 3 where they can get a different type of degree that they want and get good schooling, but still play high level soccer.
Mhm. I agree. And there's so many, you're right, there's so many athletes at Piedmont, but not just Piedmont. So many Division 3 athletes I know that are so talented that have just chosen it because it's so much easier to get your degree. You're right. And I say this to everyone. I say we have the best mass communications program. The professors we have are so good. So I wouldn't change it. And I know like when you tell people, yeah, I played Division 3, they're like, oh,
Oh, you
Oh,
poor you.
that's so cool. And everyone just assumes like you're not good, which is so frustrating. But it's like, no, like we played a high level, like we won conference, all this stuff. Like I wish the stigma against Division 3 was different. But before I move on to talking about your more professional side and where you are now, I'd love to hear any advice you or not yet. Scratch that. um, what has been your biggest struggle since graduating, since ending your collegiate career and trying to move on to professionally? What has been your biggest struggle with your graduation aspect?
So right around when I graduated,
Mhm.
I did what most collegiate athletes do. I went to play over the summer, and I was going to play for East Atlanta FC in the USL2, but I decided I had a pretty good thing going over there. I knew a couple coaches. They liked me, and they told me they're pretty honest about where they rated me, and I was happy about it.
Mhm.
And had I gone there, things might have ended up differently for me. But hindsight, again, you can't really look at things like that, otherwise you're going to destroy yourself internally. And I had a coach that recruited me out of high school for a college who had a history of bouncing around to different universities. Love the guy, that's just the truth. And he's a fantastic coach, but he does move around a lot. He's been more stagnant the past couple of years, which I'm happy for him because he's found a place that he can really call home. But he was at the club in Michigan that I went to. It was Michigan Rebels FC.
Mhm.
And he brought me up there into or convinced me to come up there into a situation where I more than likely would have been the number one coming out of like into the program. And I was. And it was really good. I think that for my confidence level, it was fantastic. I heard from a lot of different people when I ended up coming back down here, I was a completely different player just from a confidence perspective. Like I was playing so well because I was given the opportunity to have that confidence from a club that believed in me. And as you know, sometimes it's really hard growing up in the same place and playing for the same clubs because people have that idea of you when you're 8 that doesn't change until you're 18, and even
Mhm.
then they don't even look at you any different. So getting in front of a blank slate was really good. So I came back to Georgia and I started working in Inner Atlanta with Alec Kahn when he was still here. And Alec, I talked to him a lot about, his professional career and my professional career. And for those who don't know, Alec is currently a goalkeeper for FC Cincinnati in the MLS, formerly of Atlanta United when he was here. It was before he left to go to that club. And him and I talked a lot. And one of the things he said to me was, "You're going to go through how profane can I be on these?
Um,
Like direct quote.
yeah, anything that you wouldn't want DVC to hear, that's it.
Okay, to quote him directly, he said to me, "You're going to go through some shit for a few years. You are going to go through injuries, hardships,
Yeah.
looking back on decisions that you thought you could have played differently. You're going to get screwed over by some people. People are going to mislead you." And that was about 2 years ago. And I can tell you all of those things have happened. And it
Oh.
has not been any easier. I simultaneously feel like I am closer than I've ever been to signing a professional contract and also the farthest away. And that's what's so crazy to me because I've came so far in so many strides in my level, ability, confidence, discipline, the things I can control in my life and the things that I can't, and recognizing those. And I would say from a soccer perspective, the biggest struggle I have from a soccer perspective is finding the right people to trust because so many people have told me so many different things. We want to bring you here. We want to fly you to this country. We want to bring you to this club. But it all ends up being empty words, or you end up having to foot the bill for everything, which is not typically how you would want to get in that door.
Mhm.
And that was the biggest struggle from soccer. In terms of a career perspective, I have had a shift recently. I spoke about it earlier to where I decided I want to pursue my career and my degree, which for me is more of a focus and post-production video work. I really enjoy that sort of thing. And I had decided coming out of college that if I want to make it pro, something's got to change, or I can finally devote the rest part of my life to soccer. But I failed to consider that for the past 18 plus years, all I'd been doing is school soccer, degree soccer. And then when I graduated, I tried doing something different when I really didn't need to. and that resulted in a lot of things, but ultimately, unfortunate as it is in the real world, you need to make money, and I am not making a lot of money. And money's not happiness or anything, but it sure keeps food on the table and a roof over your head. So I ended up in a situation where I decided to pursue the career in my degree, and that's going to be the next 6 months kind of thing. But I was doing odd jobs, coaching. I think I spent 2 years breaking down air conditioners in the summer heat and the winter cold, getting sprayed on by years old Freon and oil, inhaling insulation, and getting hit over the head with a hammer a couple times just to try to make money. And, it kept me fit, but it was a physical job. And you do anything you can to make ends meet when you're in that situation. But
Mhm.
on top of all of that, the biggest struggle that I've had in that time frame is that my mother died in January, and that was unlike anything I've ever had to deal with before. So compounding all of that, it really becomes a struggle in a lot of respects. And at some point, like the old saying goes, when you feel at your lowest, that's when you need to be the most confident in yourself. But you can't, it's hard when you lose somebody that's always been there for you. You're trying something different, you don't have any time, you can't do the things you want to do. But I think that if you push through those struggles, they're in front of you for a reason, and I think that they help shape you into a person that is designed to be on a path that you are supposed to be on. And I think that with those circumstances, it's important to use them for growth. And I, again, feel like I'm simultaneously closer than ever to my goal, but also further away, but I'm more mentally at peace than I was. And I think that in that direction of things, I'm doing what I need to be doing now.
Mhm. And it's so, so tough because I think once you graduate, it's all real life, and real life hits you so, so fast. And one thing that I would love this Zoom series to be is a resource for other athletes or other people about to leave college who have no idea what's going to happen. And life is just so up in the air. And like you said, people are going to screw you over. People are going to tell you things aren't actually going to happen. Unexpected tragedies will happen. And it's inevitable, but it's so hard to like prepare for those. And just to be able to have some sort of help or some sort of like resource or anything can make the process easier. As horrible as all of those situations are, real life is so awful. Once you leave college, it's just like bam.
Yeah,
Real
it doesn't wait for you. It
no.
doesn't hold your hand. People make allusions to winning being the same way. Winning is an addiction. You want to have success, but
Mhm.
winning will just as soon as give you a hug, then turn right around and push you off a cliff. It's the same way. Life is not fair. It's not
Yeah.
kind. It hits you hard.
Yeah. It definitely does. And before we move on to my next topic, which I wanted to talk to you about, which is your professional career, just a reminder to all my guests watching and listening that this is my 11th episode of my Zoom series, After the Play Ends, Hanging the Cleats Up, and I'm joined with Cameron Verona. So now let's transition a little bit to your professional career. What got your foot in the door? And like you said, you're closer than ever. So where do you see your future professionally?
So I want to see myself playing for a professional club. I have the drive, I have the motivation and
Yeah.
desire. I say closer than ever because you just reach a point where you feel like you're finally doing the right things. And I think I'm there now. And it's just you learn so much when you get into pursuing professional anything. As much as this sucks, yes, you need to be good at it, but it is so much more about who you know than it is what you know. And that sucks because you really want to desperately do something that is based upon your own merit. But in terms of a professional career in anything, a lot of the time, it's just about being in the right place at the right time on the right day with the right person.
Mhm.
And it's crazy to think about. But I, when I had that career refocus, I guess, where I was like, okay, I'm going to continue pursuing a career in my communications degree with some video editing work. I'm going to start sending some applications off to different companies. I'm going to start editing again. I'm going to start recording the games I play. I'm going to start chopping up my soccer footage again. I'm going to do all of these things just to keep being in practice. And you sort of think, I sort of thought I have to give up pursuing professional soccer. And I was like, all right, that's it. I decided that I'm going to do that. And then people started talking to me about it. They were like, Ken, we heard you were going to give up your career in this. So let me tell you about this thing that I was professional in, or I was almost pro in, but I decided to give up because of whatever reason. And now I do this, and now I do whatever. And you can still do this for fun. And I sat there and I felt like I was just shriveling up. Like I was like, dude, I hate hearing that. Like I realized I am not ready to do that. And that's when I realized, oh, I've been doing something stupid for 2 years. Now I'm going to do the right thing, and or what I perceive now to be the right thing.
Mhm.
And that's where I ended up with that. But I'm working with a player consulting agency now. We've been drafting up a contract for a while now to get me technically officially onboarded with them, but it's a slow process. They're a group of people that I will say are trying to do things the right way. They're relatively new and they are predominantly focused with college athletes or college athletes, soon to be college athletes. And they are also trying to work with people in my situation, which for those who don't know anything about soccer, I'm 24 and I'm short for a goalkeeper. So it is very, very hard for me to be pro anywhere. But I will say that they have contacts and people they talk to and really consider the player's fit before they place you anywhere. And also, they're not like those agencies that bring a lot of Europeans or any other country over here, nationality over here that just place you and then stop talking to you. They spend a lot of time making sure you're okay, how the fit is, how can we help you? And they've even told me like if you the moment you decide that soccer's not your thing, we also know people in different professional worlds that we can help place you in a job there because that's just how they roll. So that's where we're leaning towards now. And the in terms of that aspect, I'm playing for the Atlanta Rovers FC in the UPSL. I've been playing in the UPSL the past 2 years now, and the club that I was with decided to against having a team in the league this year for a variety of reasons. So a lot of us bounced to this club, and we are really happy over there. The level's great. Like I told you before, we play a Manchester City style system, which again, for those watching who don't know, it's more of a team unity as opposed to a singular player doing all the work. Doesn't matter how the ball gets in the net as long as it does. And the goalkeeper, who's more often than not described by having terrible foot skills and only being able to use their hands and kick the ball long down the field,
Mhm.
all of a sudden becomes another center back, basically. And I think the other night we played the Guatemalan under 20 national team and we tied them 1-1. It was a really good game, a testament to our quality and to theirs. And in the game, we had about 400 something completed passes. And I think of the touches we had between two halves as a goalkeeper, I had about 55 to 60 touches, which is really high for a goalkeeper who is identified as using their hands, right?
Yeah.
So it was a lot, but it was a really cool experience. So stuff like that, playing against teams like that. Next weekend we play against Atlanta United Academy at the Proving Ground. Like it's going to be really fun. But I think that doing those things is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think that working with this player consulting agency, and I shouldn't say agency because they're not officially a registered agent, but guys who you consult and have contacts that help you get placed somewhere is a step in the right direction for my soccer career. And in terms of career revelation, again, I'm still kind of on the low end in terms of how many opportunities I have with my degree from the university, but that's still progress that's being made. And I realize that I can do, if I'm still at the semi-professional level here in Georgia, let's just say I wanted to move to some other state or needed to for a job, I could still play in that league in that level in a different state, which I was so against at first. I was like, everything that I've built is here in Georgia.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I could go to a different state and do the exact same thing I'm doing here, there, and nothing would change except for the location.
Mhm.
And I would still be further along. You don't have to stop working with somebody because you're no longer in the same state as them. You can call them on the phone. You can do what we're doing. So I that's why I feel like I'm closer than ever, but also feel like I'm far away because I feel like there's so much of my life that's yet to unfold in front of me and
Mhm.
steps that I have yet to take, but the ones that I have taken thus far have led me to a point that I'm happy with at the moment.
Yeah. And it seems like you've had so much experience already in the short time that you've already been trying to play professionally and trying to get there. So like you already sound like you know so much and that you kind of have a feel for it. So what advice would you give to anyone wanting to pursue a career professionally right out of college
In anything or in sports?
in sports?
It's gonna suck at first. It's gonna suck, but don't think that just because you haven't made it yet, that means you have to make drastic changes. And what I mean by that is if you're not paying attention to your diet, to your fitness, training with a purpose,
Mhm.
if you're not doing things with intention and you're just working to work and you're constantly hurt all the time, yeah, fix that. Eat right, diet, and I don't mean that in an unhealthy sense. I mean eat the things that's going to fuel your body to perform its best. Train the way that for your position that's going to make you perform the best. I was told a season ago it was the team I was playing on. It was myself, um, another goalkeeper that I'm really good friends with that is also at a different club now, and the former number two goalkeeper from the Haitian national team. And I ended up playing most of the games, but the first session, 5 minutes in, when I was training with this guy, and keep in mind he's like 6'7", he didn't. He spoke English decent. We did something very simple for 5 minutes. And he goes, "Are you a pro?" And I was like, "Not yet." He goes, "You ready?"
Oh.
And I felt really nice hearing that, but he's right. So many athletes are ready for that physically,
Mhm.
professionally, disciplined. Once you have all that, you're ready. But the toughest part isn't that the toughest part is knowing that you're ready physically, but you're still nowhere closer meeting anybody, getting your foot in the door, doing something. That's the toughest part. So a lot of people are going to come along, and if this is what you truly want, a lot of people are going to come along and they're going to tell you that they know better. They're going to tell you that you're doing something crazy. They're going to tell you that it's not going to work, that you're going to be broke, sad, and alone when you're 60 and unable to move because you couldn't put down the kids' game in favor of a more realistic option. And I say that those people, for the most part, unless they really truly know you, you don't ever hear criticism from people that don't know you
Mhm.
unless they aren't doing as much as you. So surround yourself with the people that are going to support you. They're going to push you to achieve what you want to achieve and get yourself in a good circle of people that'll help you achieve those goals.
Mhm.
Get yourself surrounded with like-minded people so that you therein will feel more confident and people that you'll be able to talk to you can relate to more. Get yourself in a situation where your circle is supportive and not trying to tear you down.
Mhm.
Aside from all the training you can do by yourself and all the phone calls, emails, trainings, combines, whatever that you can go to, your circle matters. Get the people around you that understand from your perspective what you're doing. And I have to give credit to my girlfriend, Rowan Edmonds. She was a, I believe, and she'll crucify me if I get the number wrong, three-time youth national champion, at least in um, I eventing in an equestrian sport in
Mhm.
horseback riding, right? But eventing specifically, that type of thing. So from that level, that demand, she knows what it takes to succeed and what you have to sacrifice.
Mhm.
So I am very grateful to be with somebody that understands that. And there's not a lot of people out there that do. One of my friends is 28, married, has two kids, and his wife is a travel nurse and he's an electrician,
Mhm.
and she's supporting him. He just got done with a month-long trial of Chattanooga FC. It's a pro team in Tennessee, and she wants him to pursue this. She wants him to be a pro because she knows he'll be unhappy. He'll hate his life if he doesn't try it. So for a lot of us, we want to make it, but we also want to tick a box. We want to say we spent 20 years of our life doing this, and for what? We want to have something to show for it. But biggest advice I can have: stay disciplined, keep working out, surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah. I love it. And I think that that's so applicable not only to sports and to trying to pursue professionally, but for anything after you graduate. Like, I think it's so important to be around people who support you no matter what. And I've noticed that the more that I've grown up and gotten older, that I'm happiest around people who support me and have like similar viewpoints and like push me to be the best that I can be. So I think that that's awesome regardless, and such good advice for anyone who wants to pursue professionally, because just because you played Division 3 doesn't mean your career's over, or Division 2 or Division 1. Whatever you played, you can still pursue anything that you want in the future, and your options are always open. So I think that's very important to remember. But
Options are always open, and I think the biggest thing that to take away for Division 3 athletes
mhm,
is that people go to play college sports at other universities because they're on scholarship to do so.
mhm,
People who go to play sports at Division 3 are going there without any athletic money. Theoretically speaking, those people should be more committed, more
yeah,
disciplined than those who are at other places.
yeah. So basically, all Division 3 athletes, you're ahead of the game anyway, and you're already, the discipline is already there. So that's awesome. But thank you so much, Cam, for joining me. I really appreciate it. And this has been my 11th episode of my Zoom series after the play ends, hanging the cleats up. Thanks so much, Cam.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.